By now it's pretty clear that Kingdom Hearts Missing Link is going to cover an era that was somehow lost by the time the events of Kingdom Hearts 1 and even Dark Road take place. But what exactly made this era lost? Welcome back everyone, this is your girl Empowered Muse, and today we're going to discuss what exactly made the era of Kingdom Hearts Missing Link the blank or forgotten era. So this is taken directly from the narration in both trailers that we've seen so far. Each time the narrator Sigurd, at least I'm assuming is Sigurd both times, refers to this time as a story with a blank era, one that will eventually be forgotten. And so I wanted to explore a few possibilities of what exactly caused the era of Missing Link to be the forgotten era. There are a few major hints as to why this era was forgotten, but even the current hints we have still leave room for quite a few questions of why no one seemingly recalls this era. As far as the mystery of the lost or forgotten or blank era, we already have some direction of what might have caused this. Alright, so it seems that the biggest hint of why Missing Link is apparently known as the blank or forgotten era is based on what seems to be Lushu covering the gazing eye on the no-name Keyblade in the very first trailer of Missing Link. But even if this were the most direct and simplest explanation, how then will we account for the possible descendants of that era? It's hard to imagine that they were all sent off or taken away like baby Xehanort and thus had no memory of this era of Scholar Asylum, so why wasn't this really mentioned even among Xehanort's classmates in Dark Road? Especially when you consider that this particular era of Scholar Asylum apparently had multiple societies coexisting at one point, as well as a system of governance with the founders, neither of which seem to be present by the time we see the events of Dark Road take place. There's also the larger question of what exactly happened to the knowledge of the astral plane. Did that disappear along with this era? We'll explore this theory more a bit later, but yeah, even with the whole person assumed to be Lushu covering the gazing eye theory doesn't quite fully account for this complete silence on the Missing Link era. To date, the only character we've seen even remotely mention this era is Player, as they're recalling their first and second lifetimes with young Xehanort at the end of Dark Road. And so all things kind of point to this era of Missing Link being truly forgotten by its descendants, and not just because it might not have been recorded with the gazing eye. So this era of Scholar Asylum obviously went through quite a change in order to become the Scholar Asylum that we see in Kingdom Hearts 3 and Kingdom Hearts Dark Road even. But does this mean that the Missing Link version of Scholar Asylum was destroyed, memories and all, to then be rebuilt once more into this more modern era? I do think that it's pretty likely that a massive war or conflict broke out between the societies at some point in Missing Link, maybe due to the desire to collect as many character pieces as possible, so a larger battle between these societies may have resulted in the overall destruction of this era of Scholar Asylum. And so therefore, it could have been the case that after the dust settled from that major battle between the societies, or maybe as a result of an uprising from all the societies against the founders, those who survived actually used the power of the Master's Defender in order to lock away the memories of the Missing Link era and to transform the city of Scholar Asylum into what we see in Kingdom Hearts 3 and Dark Road. But even if this were the case, would the survivors of this conflict have stayed in this new Scala, or would they possibly retire away from the city to a more cozy world, much like Master Odin did at the end of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road? Perhaps instead of a memory wipe and reconstruction, this old Scholar Asylum simply disappeared in a different way. I think there's a reason the astral plane will play a much larger role in both Missing Link and the broader story of Kingdom Hearts going forward. So this one might be more of a stretch, but maybe the astral plane somehow played a role in this entire era of Scholar Asylum becoming forgotten. From what we see in the Missing Link teaser trailer and some of the scenes in the most recent closed beta test, it seems that Keyblade wielders of that time could easily access the astral plane in order to fight and defeat the Heartless. Again, this is something that we've only seen in the era of Missing Link, so what exactly happened to this plane and why aren't their Keyblade wielders now accessing it with the same ease? Actually, we might have a better idea of where we could still access the astral plane based on what we learned so far from this most recent beta test, but I'll do a much deeper dive with theories based on the new information we got from the beta test in the next couple of weeks. So what if in some twist of events by the end of Missing Link, this era of Scholar Asylum was actually overtaken by distortions from all of the mental energies of the astral plane, but from the wreckage caused by the distortions, another floating city of Scholar Asylum is then built like the Victorian era Missing Link Scala never existed. Again, quite a stretch, but it could be worth considering with some likelihood for now. And this theory could further lend to the explanation of why the missing link era was deemed lost or blank or forgotten. This era may have quite literally disappeared to a place of non-existence, or I guess in this case maybe imagination. So remember the reveal in Union Cross when there was a data version of Daybreak Town as well as data versions of its inhabitants. So yeah, we got another data theory, but at this point I think it's safe to say that data is just going to be a very present concept in the Kingdom Hearts universe. So I do think that some spare data might have been left over from the data of Daybreak Town, much like some of Daybreak Town's foundational parts. And it could be the case that upon discovering this data, it was then exploited and reframed to create the societal structure of this era Scala at Kylum, and maybe even the real world that we see on the other side of the astral plane, from when we travel to complete missions. We could even go so far to say that the founders are the ones managing this data version of the city, not that this actual era Scala at Kylum didn't physically exist at all, but maybe some of what we've seen so far is actually data, especially with the astral plane. And so maybe if the real version of the missing link era of Scala at Kylum was in fact destroyed and rebuilt, perhaps all the data of this era was actually erased, and that's why it's deemed forgotten. However, I do think the astral plane is a very real thing that exists, even with the fleshing out of this data world theory. But the actual existence of the astral plane is more so a very well kept secret in the actual Kingdom Hearts universe, which actually could explain why we just haven't heard anything about it until now. And this could further mean that certain founders and their descendants not only knew of the realm of non-existence that connected to the astral plane, but also might have known that this place of non-existence is a broader universe that holds the realm of unreality, or Quadratum even. It could even be the case that a place like Quadratum was set by a founder in order to lock away the secrets of this forgotten era of missing link. But if this data theory is in fact the case, I do think this will be a really interesting setup for just how the events of the Key Saga up to Missing Link will affect the Lost Master arc going forward, as it seems to be set up to deal with the intersections of reality, data, and fiction as it applies to Kingdom Hearts. While we already know that this era of Missing Link will end up forgotten, I think there's more to this than the events of this time were simply not recorded, because it leaves an entire question of what made the people of that era and their descendants also forget what occurred in this era. And outside of Player and maybe Lucio, who else could have carried those memories of this era? But I want to hear from you, so let me know what you think about this era being lost or forgotten in the comments below. If you want to explore some more Kingdom Hearts theories, I'll be linking another Kingdom Hearts theory video here in the end screen. And as always, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more Kingdom Hearts content. And if there's anyone who may have questions about what to expect for the upcoming Kingdom Hearts games, be sure to share this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.